Hello everyone. Welcome back to our channel. Today, I'm going to narrate a fascinating story titled The Little Room by Madeline Yale Wynne. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the story. Once upon a time, there was a man named Roger who was considering a room in his house as a potential smoking room. His wife, however, was concerned about the idea of smoking in the house. She was particularly worried about how her Aunt Hannah would react. Aunt Hannah was a pure New Englander, a woman of strong character and traditional values. Roger, however, was confident. He assured his wife that he would find a way to win over Aunt Hannah. He planned to ask her about an old sea captain and a piece of yellow calico. His wife corrected him, saying it was blue chintz, not yellow calico. Roger, trying to remember the story correctly, mentioned a yellow shell, but his wife insisted that he was mixing up the details. Roger then asked his wife to tell him again exactly what to expect. He admitted that he hadn't paid much attention to the story when she had told him earlier. His wife explained that it was a strange occurrence that had started long before she was born and continued to happen. She hoped it wouldn't happen again. Roger was intrigued and asked her what it was. His wife, however, was concerned about whether other people in the car could hear their conversation. Roger reassured her that they probably couldn't hear them clearly. His wife then began to share her family history. Her mother was born in Vermont and was the only child from a second marriage. Aunt Hannah and Aunt Maria were actually her half-aunts. Roger jokingly hoped that they were half as nice as his wife was. His wife then shared more about her aunts. Aunt Hannah was a hard-working woman, reminiscent of a Maine woman who wanted her epitaph to read. She was a hard-working woman. They were both in their 70s, but they were the kind of women who would keep working until their last breath. His wife's mother had a lonely childhood. The house was located on top of what they called Stony Hill, almost a mile away from any neighbors. It was a bleak place, even in the summer. When his wife's mother was about 10 years old, she was sent to live with cousins in Brooklyn who had children of their own and knew more about raising them. She stayed there until she got married. His wife then revealed that they were planning to visit the house on their own. Roger, however, was concerned about speaking too loudly. His wife reassured him, asking him to speak very quietly. His wife then began to describe a peculiar room in the house. She had told her husband about it before, and she had said that of all the rooms, that one was the only one that seemed pleasant to her. She described the furniture, the books, the wallpaper, and everything else in the room. She said it was on the north side, between the front and back rooms. But when they went to look for it, there was no little room there. There was only a shallow china closet. They asked her sisters when the house had been altered and a closet made of the room that used to be there. They both said the house was exactly as it had been built, that they had never made any changes, except to tear down the old woodshed and build a smaller one. Roger and his wife laughed a lot about it. Whenever something was lost, they would always say, "It must be in the little room." Any exaggerated statement was called little roomy. His wife thought that was a regular English phrase because she heard it so often. They talked it over and finally concluded that his wife's mother had been a very imaginative child. She might have read about such a little room in a book, or perhaps even dreamed of it. Then she had pretended, as children do, until she herself had really thought the room was there. Roger and his wife had discovered that the little room was actually a china closet. They laughed it off and even made a joke out of it. But the mystery of the little room didn't end there. Years later, When Roger's wife became a mother herself, she decided to take her family to the old house for a summer vacation. On the journey, she told her daughter Margaret about the peculiar little room that turned out to be a china closet. She described the room in such vivid detail that Margaret could almost see it in her mind's eye. When they arrived at the house, Margaret, filled with curiosity, ran ahead to see the little room. To her surprise, and her mother's shock, the little room was there, exactly as her mother had described it. The lounge, the peacock chintz, the green door, the shell, the morning glory, and rose paper, everything was exactly as her mother had remembered. They asked Aunt Hannah and Aunt Maria about the room, but they insisted that the house had never been altered and that the little room had always been there. This strange occurrence seemed to affect Margaret's mother deeply. She would often wake up in the middle of the night and go downstairs to check if the little room was still there. Years passed, and Margaret's mother passed away. Margaret grew up and got married. She and her husband, Mr. Grant, decided to visit the old house. Margaret was nervous about seeing the little room again. When they arrived at the house and opened the door to the little room, they found a china closet. This strange phenomenon baffled Mr. Grant. He couldn't understand how the room could change from a china closet to a little room and back again. He decided to put the matter aside as something inexplicable. Years later, Margaret and Mr. Grant were planning to move to Europe. Margaret asked her friends, Rita Lash and cousin Nan, to visit the old house and check on the little room. Rita received a telegram from Nan saying that the little room was indeed a room. However, when Rita visited the house herself, she found a china closet. This strange occurrence led to a disagreement between Rita and Nan. They both insisted that they had visited the house and seen either the little room or the china closet. To settle the matter, they decided to visit the house together. But when they arrived, they found that the house had burned down. And so, the mystery of the little room remains unsolved. It's a reminder that there are things in this world that we may never fully understand. But perhaps that's what makes life so interesting. The mysteries, the unknowns, the little rooms that turn into china closets. That's the end of our story for today, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more exciting stories. Until next time, keep your imagination alive.